A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Harshit Singh, your host for the day. On behalf of Lucknow Public Schools and Colleges, I welcome you all to this wonderful event for women empowerment. It's a great pleasure for me to get you in touch with a Greece-based organization, the 50/50 Projects, which works for the upliftment of women in economic and financial sector by motivating them and providing them a platform to empower women. LPS has collaborated with the 50/50 project to provide sessions on women empowerment and this is a subject in which I'm sure you all shall be deeply interested in because it is empowering yourself that you can best secure your financial and social future. So to enlighten us a little more about it, I would like to straight away invite the lady behind this entire initiative, Miss Sophia Karagiani, co-founder of the 50/50 project, and she'll share with us as to what this project is all about and how this came into being. Miss Sophia.
Many thanks, Harshit, for your very kind words. It's truly an honor to cooperate with Lucknow schools in the first overseas expansion of the 50/50 project. So I am Sophia. I am a policy lawyer currently based in Brussels, and I am the co-founder of the 50/50 project. I would like to give you a very brief background of what does the 50/50 project do. The 50/50 project started as an idea in the United States in 2016, where I met the co-founder of the project, Marianthi. There in the United States, we were both Clinton Global Initiative fellows, and we started talking about the inexistence of support programs for women just graduating university in our country, Greece. This is why we decided to start an organization to actually bridge this gap and inspire young women to thrive in their professional careers. In this regard, we organize various workshops and conferences with the aim to, as I say, inspire women, because we believe that you cannot become what you don't see, and at the same time to help them enlarge their network and establish relationships with experienced professionals, since we believe that opportunities come from the people we know. In this context, in these very volatile times we live in, we decided to take the plans and expand overseas in a country where we find a lot of interest to work in the women's empowerment sphere. So in this context, we decided to collaborate with Lucknow schools in organizing this webinar, where we hope to inspire you and actually help you develop what we call a growth mindset. A growth mindset is this kind of thinking where you see possibility instead of limitation, where you see failure as a valuable opportunity of learning, and where you learn that setbacks can actually provide a way forward. So my goal from today's webinar will be to leave the webinar thinking that you can be whatever you want to be and you can accomplish whichever goal you set your mind to, as far as you work hard for it. Thank you, and it's truly a pleasure.
Well, thank you so much, Sophia. I'm sure that all your initiatives will bring a massive amount of change in the entire thought process and the mindset that we look forward to. And this initiative, I'm sure that me being the host for women empowerment is itself, it's a great opportunity for me as well, and I feel really a lot empowered because of it. Because you see, most of our principals in our schools are obviously ladies, and for this specific webinar, we invited not just the teachers and the principals, but also some really, inspired girls who would, want to become the future leaders in their specific field and become the upcoming entrepreneurs in their field. So I'm sure like this entire webinar is going to be of a great value to all of us. So once again, I would like to welcome all of you in this wonderful event. So without taking much time, I would right away invite our very first speaker for today, who is Miss Neha Singh, Director of Lucknow Public Schools and Colleges, an inspiring lady who has been working hard for enhancing the education system in schools, a lady with a keen interest in modern arts and music, a well-traveled lady, and an extensive professional experience in the field of education and hospitality. So with this, I would like to invite Ms. Neha Singh, and you are going to hear it from her now. Ms. Neha Singh.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's afternoon here in India, and thank you for a very beautiful welcome, Harshit. And it feels incredible to be back on board and speaking to you on a very real topic of women empowerment. So all my acquaintances, all my friends, dear Sophia, all the speakers of the day, I'm glad to be sharing this board with you. So, dear children, I have been listening to this phrase of women empowerment ever since I was a kid. And trust me, I could understand its essence years later once I actually finished my studies and I got into the field when you're working together with men. And today I would want to get started by talking about what is this women empowerment exactly. Is it empowering a woman with a rolling pin to take charge of a kitchen? Maybe. In certain aspects, as long as it is necessary. But we need to rise to the fact that women empowerment is promoting women. It's promoting self-worth. It's focusing on children who you are. What is your worth? What do we women feel from inside? And how do we want it to be? Basically, it's more like taking charge of your life and not letting into the hands of people and let them decide. It's so you have to understand that what is self-worth exactly and what are the due rights. You need that space. You need that space in the world where your decisions matter and where your choices matter. That could be your professional decisions. That could be how you want your life to be. That could be how you are imagining yourself to grow. You could relate it to anything that is happening in your life. So any aspect that you can think of in liberalizing women. Now, what is this term liberalizing exactly over here? That means giving freedom of choices about what you want. So that's women empowerment to me. It's a must talked about topic, and yet representation of women at each level, it remains understated. This is what I feel. Although society is progressing, a lot of things are changing, there is a lot of awareness, but children, it's together, all of us, that we can come together collectively and create that difference. So when you are educated and aware enough, you would be able to educate the kids, the students, and everybody in your surroundings. And so even in this era of development, we come across a variety of hurdles when it comes to becoming an entrepreneur or a CEO or somebody at a managerial level or gaining a position in higher management. And you know what? None of these hurdles which come in our lives, they are self-manifested. Self-manifested means none of it is self-made. You don't make it. Okay, no girl makes it or no female makes it. It's basically the external forces of the society that are very much responsible for the gender gap which is there in any work that you are doing, in any business that you will come in future. So it all plays a major role in deciding a path for a woman, right from, you might have heard it, although these things are eventually reducing, but gender gap, gender pay gaps, or sexual harassment, what not does a woman face in her professional life, in their workplace? And women as a leader, there are times when women have to undergo a self-assessment tests. And what is this self-assessment test exactly? That means with her decisions, what she is taking and what impact will it have in her future? How every single small or big decisions that you take for yourself, professionally or personally, and it has a deep impact on every single aspect, in every knot that is responsible in your entire life circle. So being a female leader, I do understand what it takes to be a woman of substance in a managerial position. Now, female leaders, sometimes they have to go high testing time because of being treated unequally than their male counterparts. And there are certain types of gender stereotypes. Sometimes females are required to give test every time, whatever you are doing. In most cases, you're required to prove that how worthy you are. If you take up, for example, if you just take up any career, so many a times your promotion will be dependent on how you perform. That goes for all the professions though, but as compared to what is, how is a male counterpart performing, your performance would be judged or observed more clearly. And today we all are advocating on these things because we want to create this awareness and work on all these awareness from this time only. And women leaders, they face a lot of challenges on advocating things on their own behalf. And ambitious men is considered to be strong, but an ambitious woman is sometimes considered as an insane. You know, you must have again heard in certain houses and at certain places in the society itself. Furthermore, for women in business, it is quite a challenge to get trust in her unique aspect of female exclusive presence and all her skills that she possesses. While and many female leaders also go through imposter syndrome. Now, what is this imposter syndrome? There's a feeling of loneliness that sometimes come into picture. What is this loneliness exactly? You take a decision, and sometimes there comes a situation where when you are not appreciated, criticized by most members in and around you. That could be even females, you know, children, sometimes maybe your friends. You did not do this right, or some family, in your family members, people can come up and they tell you that this is not good, this is not a right decision to make. And that's the time when you start losing confidence in yourself. That is a time when your spirit is disturbed, when your self-esteem, it kind of lowers down, it comes down. And yes, such people are always going to be there. Such disturbing forces are always going to be there who will make you divert from your objective. But that's a time where you all grown-up girls must come, put all your energies together, rise up, and again work on those things. And in the end, what will happen is you will succeed. So reality of life is that in the end, you will be on your own, children. Everybody is there with you. And it does not happen every time that you will have all possible support that we dream of in our day-to-day life. When you talk about taking a professional decision, and when you talk about taking charge of your life, you will eventually have to be on your own. And in the end, you would be able to make it once you have your mind in your control and you start taking charge of your things. And once you understand this, all of it starts falling in place. So I did face many challenges, and sometimes I do face, because of the kind of society we live in, because of the kind of thought process our society has. And I have learned thousands of things in a better forum, in a thousand things that I can do differently. Children, we are actually blessed to be girls, you know. Why? Because we can do a variety of things. It's gifted by God himself to us. We are incredible at managing ample amount of things in one go. And it's just not me, it's all of you. All of you have that power within you. And now, if I could learn, all of you do have these qualities prevailing in you, and you would be able to do it as well. But I do not want you to face any such hardships or any and few things that I have discussed about a minute back. I would want all of you to consider these points. We have some amazing, very successful leaders who would be talking after me. Please take understand what they're trying to put in, and take knowledge, take that guideline about what they're trying to express. So when I look back at times, it seems that the struggle was worth taking, and it has helped me to be a leader, the kind of person that I am today. And I did not give up on my determination, nor am I going to give up on any of the things that I plan to excel in life, to perform and leave a mark in any assignment, in any project that I will take. You know, when you're sure about your works, when you're sure about, okay, that this is the direction where I will take, and this is how I will proceed, you should go. And it just take a fraction of seconds to break yourself or build yourself. In our lives, there comes a point where you might find yourself falling down. Right now you are kids, but once you are done with your education, when you start planning your life of your career, your work, there would be times when you would feel like broken. But then again, either you can just feel broken, or you can just wind yourself again and just come up and rise, get yourself together, put all energies together and get going. So it just take a fraction of seconds actually to devastate yourself, build yourself. And having that faith in yourself, having that trust in your voice, overcome that syndrome of being perfectionist. All of us want to be perfect in everything that we do. But children, understand one more thing. Sometimes it's okay to make mistakes. Zindagi mein galtiyan hoti hain. They are bound to happen. None of us are born amazing people. We will make mistakes. And do not always consider it your fault. It will happen. And then again, you will learn. Again, you will revive. Again, you will rise. And that's how life will keep on going. So there's always a room for improvement. Always talk about your achievements, about your success stories. Even if you have become a prefect of your class, or even if you have become, you've achieved anything that you valued. If you have created a nice poem or a writing or a blog, if you have won any award, if you have become a class monitor, whatever you are doing, love it, share it, talk about it, recognize that worth, and set forth to achieve what you want. After all, why should boys have all the fun? You do deserve it. And it's not the women leader. It's not at all that women leaders are against men leaders. No, children. It should never happen. We must always aspire to be women leaders, and we must always respect men leaders. Okay. And we should accept this term of feminism with a lot of grace, not negativity. Okay. Respect this word, this term with grace and not with hatred. And couple of things I'm about to end up, so I'll just want to talk to you about just for a minute more. So what are the things that you can do to feel empowered when somebody is trying to not make you feel likewise? Somebody, when others are trying not to make you feel that you are powerful enough. So I'm not using the word anywhere, okay? I'm just saying, raise your voice for the right thing. Raise your voice means talk logically, talk sense for the right thing, okay? Fight for your rights. Fight again does not mean that you could literally go and you pick up something and go out fighting. No, you're not going to fight. Talk about your rights logically. With you all are grown-up girls, okay? We all have access to the internet and everything is available. So you can definitely demand for equal pay at your workplace in future once you all grow up. And if you find any kind of discrimination happening at your workplace, wherever you are working, demand for equal workplace. Because if you think that you are authentically, logically correct, you don't have to hesitate of that. Okay, he's a man, I'm a woman, I'm a girl. You don't have to compromise on that. Sensitize people around you about women. Educate people. Children, you have this power of education, and nothing can beat that power of educating. So sensitize people around you about women empowerment, and understand the laws for women, and take help by reading the laws and understanding the same. Okay? Try and take help by reading the laws and understanding the same. Speak your mind and educate yourself. And when it comes for education of a girl child, that's a time when you can definitely talk loud. You might be having some maids at your houses, and there might be situation in your life. I have heard that though, but but there are sometimes people are thinking of educating their boy child first and then the girl child. That's a time when you can just speak up, talk about it aloud. Aloud means a little louder, and do let them know that this is important. And these are certain things that you can do to reduce that gender gap. So today we are talking more about feeling empowered. What all things can we do? What all we can do easily? So these are the few things which I had in mind and I wanted to express before you. So treat men and women equally. For this mindset, all of us have to have deep inside us. It has to be a part of our knowledge that we have, and we must propagate that knowledge as much as possible. So it's basically a time to break the ice and let the world know that women's goal is to reduce gender gaps, and women's goal is to achieve political, economic, personal, and social equality with no offense to any man in our surroundings. I think I have just put my points in front of you, and I really feel great after talking about this. So thank you everyone for listening me out. Thank you, dear kids. Now I would want you to listen very carefully to some very successful female leaders who would be here shortly, who would be expressing how about their journey, what is it like in the outer world internationally, and what points can we consider once, because we are in that perfect stage of growth, right, children? So thank you for listening me. Have a nice day.
Well, I'm sure what a powerful, powerful session from you. I think we have got a really amazing insight, and it was quite a powerful insight that we started with Neha ma'am's talk, right? I'm sure all the girls, all the teachers and the principals had some really nice insights as to what women are. I'm sure all of you know that. But I felt really empowered after listening to her. And since it's not just about women, but also the men, because it's the men who also need to be educated about everything that how empowered can you feel from within, and then only what manifests out is the result. So, before we move on to our next speaker, I would like to tell all the students, the teachers, and the principals that we will now be having our next speakers who will speak. And after they are done with their talk, then we'll be opening up the chat box. And in that, you will have the opportunity to put in your questions, and as and when which our speakers will go through the chat box, and they will understand whichever questions they will answer, they can answer. All right. So this is for all of you, all the teachers, all the principals, and the students. So feel free to ask questions based on whatever you think that you would like to know about. And since the chat box will be open for a specific amount of time, so we will be taking up a few questions only. So do share your questions out there. So our next speaker is an amazing personality. I mean, I'll just read it out, and I'm sure you all would understand. So, Miss Manasi Mehan. Ms. Mehan is a psychology graduate who hails from Mumbai. She is also a part of Gratitude Network Fellowship, an international platform that works on building leadership. Ms. Mehan is also the co-founder and CEO of Saturday Art Class, a non-profit making organization that works for children from low-income communities in the city of Mumbai to help them have a better future. So the next voice that you will hear of is Miss Manasi Neha. Miss Manasi.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction and for having me here today. So while I was thinking of what I want to come on this platform and speak to all the lovely girls out here, I actually put myself in the shoes when I was actually in school. It was quite some time ago. I don't want to actually feel that way because I still feel I'm very connected to schools. I work in the education sector and I work in schools. But I actually thought of Manasi back in, let's say, 8th grade, the 9th and 10th, and what that journey was like. And this is one learning that I wanted to start my conversation with you all today with, was education is the most important tool that any individual can ever get exposed to. And it can make your life. And I wish somebody had told me this when I was in school, because today when I work with children from the low income communities is where I realize the biggest gap, especially women. I was fortunate enough to have parents who really encouraged me to study, attend school on a regular basis, do whatever I wanted to, choose any subject that I wanted to, take up any path that I ever felt was right for me. But today, when I work with girls, women, and individuals from various sectors, I realize how much of a boon it was for me. So a little bit about me. I went to a good school in the city, and I thought that was a standard of education that everyone received. And I'm sure all you girls today receive that good quality education. Right after I finished my graduation, I came from a space of psychology and just understanding people. And that's when I started the Teach for India Fellowship when I was only 19 years old. So a 19-year-old Manasi was in a classroom where I had 30 grade 2 children who were my students. But this classroom was not your ordinary classroom. This classroom was a classroom in a government school in Mumbai. So let's say the fact that we have a fan, our schools have chairs and tables for us to sit on, running water, clean washrooms, a canteen, basic uniforms. All of that was missing for my children. And now understand the fact that I came from a space thinking that education is, everyone receives it. I never questioned the standard of education till I was exposed to these 30 children who have changed my life today. During my 2 years of being their teacher and a Teach for India fellow, there are a few things that I realized. And now keeping in mind the role of women at that point, I realized that it is difficult to be a girl in the 2nd grade because you are sent to a government school, but your brother may be sent to a private school where the parents want to pay fees while the government school is free. Parents may not send you for tuitions because the brother's tuition fees are more important. Parents will keep trying to probe the son, and the girl is just lost in the process of it. But do you know, every time I spoke to the parents, I only told them one thing: your daughter will change the way you live your life. Give her as much attention and educate her the most, because education is that tool that can literally change your life around. Some of the girls in my school would not come to school on certain days because of lack of water. So menstrual health was a complete question mark. Girls dropped out after 8th grade because parents thought they'll get into bad company and were not allowed to go to college because that was just something that we don't know what will happen in college, what will happen to them. Let's just get them married at the age of 18. Now, in all of this, I realized that when my students saw me, and I was a little different Didi who came in, spoke English, put up charts, something very, very different for government schools. I realized all of them finally had someone that they felt they could look up to and wanted to be like. And I'm not saying they had to be like me. They were just exposed to what women can do and the role that they have and the voice that they had. And I still remember conversations when I would attend, like in the slums of Mumbai, I would go to my students' houses and I would speak to their mothers. And you know what? The woman of the house, if you make her believe in what her daughter or what she or the women in her family can do, it can really change the situation around. And that's when, in my 2 years of understanding the huge gap that today you are receiving in your education journey and what majority of India receives at the grassroots level of education, I decided to take up the role of being an entrepreneur just at the age of 22. And I think my biggest learnings came from being a young woman entrepreneur. My co-founder is also, an extremely talented architect, a woman architect, who decided to come into the education sector to then start Saturday Art Class with me. A little bit about Saturday Art Class. We work on social emotional learning. So basically, how is a child doing in the classroom? Is the child feeling safe? Do we ask the children what happened to them before they came to school? Did we ask them why they didn't do their homework as a question of, were you beaten up last night, compared to, was that the reason, or you just didn't understand? Children, if they're not doing okay from their mind and their heart, it's very difficult for them to function academically in the classroom, especially children from vulnerable backgrounds we work with. And Saturday Art Class was a solution of what my kids kept asking me for, saying, Didi, we want art class. Didi, you should come to our house and see where we live. When I heard them talk about their journey, why they had 3 jobs in grade 3, why they woke up at 5 in the morning and slept at 1:30 in the night, why they knew the perfect pani puri recipe because they had to help their uncles in their shop, why they were exposed to so many bad words and so much, like they would talk about rapes and fights and women getting beaten up and family fights, all of that, because they were exposed to so much. I wanted to make sure that these children felt safe in the classroom. But this was not easy to just have an idea and start. At the age of 22, I don't think the world took me seriously. They said, you're too young. Are you sure you want to do this? Do this as a hobby. Do you get a salary? Are you doing charity work for a living? you have no experience to start this. Just women. Oh, but how will you ever reach certain industrial standards? Do you think you can do this? Some even asked me, what do you do during the week if you only work on Saturdays? It took a long time for me to establish from a class of 30 children to now close to 5,500 children in Mumbai to reach out to so many. More than 1 lakh students digitally now. During the crisis, COVID, we managed to feed more than 15,000 individuals with ration kits. We created an entire curriculum to just ask the child, are you doing okay? Do you know why you're feeling confused? Do you know why you've not gotten food at home? Do you know why your father lost your job? Now, all of this came from a space where it wasn't very well established at that point. So I started this back in 2017. Being a young woman entrepreneur has not been easy. But 5 years down that journey today, I can tell you that it's been worth it. Because I have learned so much by just trying to, because I believed in an idea, I realized a need for it, and I decided to just give it whatever I could. So when people came and questioned me about all of this, I just told myself that I need to be patient and time will only tell. And 5 years later, I think today the work speaks for what for itself rather than me trying to justify or prove to somebody what's happening. It's not been easy to suddenly, be vulnerable in front of people and tell them, I don't really know how to do this. Can you tell me? It's not been easy to go to somebody and tell them, hey, come teach me, or can you explain this to me? It's not been easy to manage accounts, curriculum, funding, scaling, building an organization, and just trying to also understand my professional and personal life balance. That's, I think, extremely important for women. But some of the biggest leaders in our country, especially in the social sector, are women. And I really, really, really gained so much power from them by just having conversations, listening to them talk. I would sit in an audience and look at them, and I would just be like, this is who I want to be. If they can do it, then so can we. And that's why we require other women to learn from. So for example, my students looked at me, but I was looking at other people to learn from. And that's why having women role models, having women mentors, having women coaches, your own teachers, your own faculty in your school, your own mothers, your own grandmothers, there's so much to learn from them. So at the end of this, I'm going to tell you some of my learnings. It's not advice, but I'm telling you that I've come from a space where I had no idea what to do, but I just knew that I wanted to do something because I was trying to find the solution for children's voices in their education journey. For example, today, if you go to your principal and you say, we don't think the water supply in the bathroom is okay, your principal has heard your voice and she'll try and solve the problem. My kids came to me for the same thing. But unfortunately, in the grassroots level of education, there was no solution. My children said, Didi, we love coloring and painting, but there was no art teacher. I realized that I was just going in and teaching my children, but I realized that they were not doing okay to be sitting in a classroom. Could I take care of that? Could I just find solutions to their problems rather than telling them or giving them something that they didn't need? So here's just some of my learnings. And I wish that, and I'm so glad that you have this platform and we're having this conversation today, because I don't think in school somebody ever prepared me for this world beyond to say that, you're going to be in certain situations and problems where you may not have learned how to solve it, but somehow with just certain skill sets and mindsets, you can be that leader and you can find those solutions. So you don't need to learn it all. Certain situations, certain circumstances, certain people will help you through it. But the biggest thing is that you need to take every obstacle as a learning rather than saying, I am going to stop here and I'm not going to do this. Then I would really not be here today if I had given it up at every point. Because trust me, I have only failed for the first 2 years. So here's how I'm going to sum it up. I have 10 pointers that I'm going to just read out, and I'm just going to, and this is not advice. This is just something that I've decided to reflect on and put down as being a woman entrepreneur, as being a young, we have a completely female-led team right now. We work with volunteers as well. And we know that these are change makers and majority of them are women. So here are just some of my learnings that maybe I wish somebody had coached me, held my hand and taught me, but never mind. Today, I'm just like sharing my learnings with you that maybe one day when you're in a circumstance or you're in a situation, you get that aha moment and you'd be like, it's fine. It's part of the journey. So number one, you are never too young to start something that you believe in. Do not ever listen to somebody who says, but beta, you need work experience, or are you sure? But tum itni choti ho. No. If you don't start early, you're never going to reach that level that you aim for. Second, believe in the power of time and just be patient. If I had failed every day, which I did for 2 years, and I did not give myself that time to say that this too shall pass, and what did I do with that time is my third point. I was okay to fail. I learned to be okay with failure. Today, I actually welcome failure. I had to actually talk about what failure means to me. And I think I'm going to remove the word failure now and just tell you failure equals to learn. Every time, including like, let's take a test result. Like if you have a math test today, you may not do well. You may get like 5 wrongs. What are you going to go back and do? Are you going to sit in the corner, feel like this is done? I can't ever give a math paper again, because that's sort of not really possible. You're going to go back and realize, where did I go wrong? Which steps did I mess up in? What was the final outcome? That's exactly what it is. You are learning. You are learning from a certain situation. So the next time you're building that muscle, that in case you're in a similar situation, you already know what to do. So if that sum comes back again in that paper and you've practiced it and you've learned from it, you know you're going to get it right the next time. Welcome failure. Do not let it get to you. It's your biggest teacher, and it's the best thing that could actually happen to you. Do not be afraid to try something new. No one, till date, people are like, Saturday art class, do you just work on Saturdays? I said, no. I built an organization for children. My children called it Saturday art class. I decided to name it that. It was new. Somebody was like, children don't need art. अरे या क्या ये सोशल इमोशनल लर्निंग क्या है, क्या तुम पहले बच्चों को मैथ पढ़ाओ? Okay, fine, done. But today, social emotional learning is the number one thing that every educator and parent realizes is needed for a child because of the pandemic and everything that we've gone through. We tried something new. We were patient. We failed. Today, we've partnered with one of the biggest organizations in the country to be their social emotional learning partners. It takes time. It takes a lot of failures. But it takes believing in trying something new, knowing that there is a space for you and people need your intervention. Next, be open to feedback. If you go with an idea to somebody, you go with a certain like plan, you go with a certain thought, people might just, they don't mean to like break you down or say that, you know, maybe this is not the best idea. Maybe you don't have to do it this way. Be open to feedback. Don't take it all on face value. Absorb it. In the next few days, think it through. Think over it. You never know when that aha moment comes. But the only thing is that feedback section. Believe in the power you can. Really. Right now, it may seem stressful with exams and online school, but you know what? It's what's going to help you survive and thrive in the outside world. I would do anything to make sure the good quality of education is provided to all. You are the ones who have the opportunity to get good quality education. Make the most of it, because when you leave school, when you're exposed to the outside world, this is going to be your biggest and the most powerful weapon. Believe in yourself and do not be too harsh on yourself. It's okay if you didn't do well in an exam. It's okay if that one presentation didn't work. It's okay if you didn't come first on sports day. It's okay if you didn't get selected on annual day. It's okay, right? Like, can you start being a little nicer to yourself, because the world needs it? The minute you are nicer to yourself, you're automatically, you reflect that to other people. And finally, be the change you want to see. It's very simple to sit down and complain about India and the COVID crisis. And it's very simple to talk about why people spit. That was my reason of joining this Teach for India fellowship. I just felt like people did not follow basic civic sense. They spat on the road, people threw things out of the train. And I was like, am I just going to sit here and complain, or I'm going to do something about that? And I went back to where these people come from. I went back to their education system, and I realized that these people are not taught it. Kids are not taught that spitting isn't right. Kids are not taught that there's something called a dustbin. Kids are not taught that bad words like are not the right way of having a conversation with people. Kids are not taught to wash their hands. Then why am I expecting the world outside to know it when they're not even taught this in school? So instead of sitting there and complaining, you have the power to make the change in any capacity. You don't have to go around and change the world around. Even the tiniest contribution, like the tiniest drop, has such a powerful impact. Because if you start doing it, there are going to be 10 other people who are going to encourage you and join you. And that's exactly how Saturday Art Class got close to 1,300 volunteers to work with us. We just opened it out to other people to come and join us with what we did. So this is all that I have to say, that enjoy the journey of being a woman. It's the most empowering thing that you are and you own. You're going to have difficulties, but know that there are other women around you who will support you, who've gone through similar circumstances, and it's okay. But remember, education, and I think just being a woman, it's your weapon to survive in the outside world. And I'm very, very, very excited for all of you all to begin a journey of whatever you aim to or your goals are, knowing that you have these two weapons by your side to help and help you navigate through difficult circumstances whenever you're faced with these. Thank you so much for having me today. And I cannot wait for all of you to go out into the world and create some magic. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Mansi. I think after listening to you, even I feel so much energy. I can literally feel your energy. See, I can literally get that. These stories, these real-time stories, are the real. I mean, you are the real change maker. That's what I can say. You see, this initiative of yours, social emotional learning, and I would just like to add one thing to it. And I think all of us, like everyone who's there in this event right now, I mean, we all should understand that 80% of our life decisions are actually emotional, and it is just that 20% of our decisions that that come out of our experiences and our knowledge. So I think this initiative of yours is definitely developing emotionally, right? And that's a great initiative. I would really like to congratulate you for that, and thank you so much for being here. And so now it's for all the participants today. Like, we have opened our chat box. If there are any questions of yours that you would like to ask Mansi, so you can ask. I mean, we'll have it open for a few minutes. So if you have any questions, so please type in the chat box, and we would like Mansi ji to answer them. Any one of you, there will be principals, teachers, and even children. Because this is indeed an amazing thing. I just cannot stop myself by saying just one more thing. It's just that, you see, I mean, all of us should remember that every victim have a story why they can't. And every victor has a story why they must. And I think Mansi out here is a victor. She knows what she's doing and she loves what she's doing. So yeah, we have questions now. Mansi, please, if you could.
Yes. Do you think the society plays an important role in women empowerment? Of course. you know what, like Neha ji said earlier, you need to have men by your side, and you need to have people who believe in it and encourage you to do what you want to do. Today, I could take that risk. I was given that time when my father said, take your time, but just decide what you want to do finally. And there was no segregation there. Society mindset, let's bring about this where you are equal. And there's a lot that women can do that men can't. So let's change that. What can students of our age do to promote women empowerment? I think students of your age can do a lot that is related to women empowerment, but a lot in general. Like I said, start putting this back into our dialogues, and can it be a part of our conversation rather than just maybe hope and everyone. How to react to new changes from which we fear? That's a really good question. I think a lot comes from understanding what the fear is and being okay with change, and being okay with being a little uncomfortable in the beginning, because it does get better over time. So for example, if you're in a situation where you feel like this is new for, okay, let's give an example. I want to run a marathon, right? The first few months of training you're going to feel like you're going to have soreness, you're going to feel that fatigue may not be the best, you may have to wake up early in the morning, so on and so forth. But can you think about what the positive aspects of it will be once you complete the marathon? How good it is for your health, how good it is for your mindset, how good it is to discipline your body. So the beginning is always uncomfortable in terms of changes, but the journey is worth it. Any failure impact you? If yes, then in what aspects, and what did you how did you get over it? I think I when I said this to you about failure, I was the worst at taking failure, especially in school. I still remember certain instances where if I didn't do well in, let's say, I used to play sports. If I didn't get selected for a certain competition, or I didn't get selected for a certain nationals competition, I literally gave up. I stopped playing. But today, if somebody, like, if I knew that was the mindset I was working with, I would have really just pushed myself to be uncomfortable, deal with that rejection, deal with not getting through, and just trying to figure out what can I get into next? Which other sport can I do again? So as a child, I think we fail very often, like we get aversive to subjects which we don't do well in. Maybe we you think your paper has gone well, but you don't get the marks, and it really puts you down. But the thing is, like, there is a lot more to it. And I think as an entrepreneur, I have failed a lot. I have failed to get the funding that we require. I have failed to communicate what we do with people. I have failed to get certain schools on board. I have failed to just I have only failed I failed to understand what to do next. But I guess it's just the power of time, and it's the power of learning. Yes, you fail. What do you do after that? How did I also, please let me know when the questions, I can stop in the interest of time, because there are a lot of questions. How do I deal with negativity? Should we run behind our economic independence in terms of stable job, or do we, this is, I recently came across this phase called passion with a purpose. So should we take a risk and follow our passion, or should we believe in economic independence? A combination exists, and that's exactly what I'm doing. You need to figure out what your economic independence looks like, and you need to love the work you do, because that combination is what will then make you just do more and grow more in your job. There are a lot of questions. How do I take them through? How do you deal with negative thoughts which come?
Manasi, I think we have a few more speakers, and we'll give the children the chance to ask more of those questions to them. So now I would like to move on to our next speaker. And thank you so much, Manasi, for sharing your story with all of us. So our next speaker is Dr. Nubucoli. Ms. Kohli is a healthcare leader a medical doctor, an author, an innovative speaker, and also a supervisory board member of UNICEF, the Netherlands, leader of World Economic Forum, Global Shapers Amsterdam. She has also been honored with top 3 Joke Summit Award in Netherlands by the Minister of Science and Education of Netherlands for her contribution in empowering women and gender equality. She is also a TED speaker and has also written a book called Chill on Stress and Productivity with forewords from 2 former prime ministers of Europe and Asia. Let's now hear from Ms. Nupur Kohli and learn from her and from her story. Ma'am, please.
Thank you so much for inviting me today. Am I audible? Can everyone hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So today, the topic of my talk would be 5 questions for a teenage girl to shape the future. And to start, again, thanks so much for inviting me today and to speak to all of you. I live in Amsterdam, as you might hear from my accent. However, so Amsterdam is in the Netherlands. It's now here 11:30 almost in the morning. My parents are Indian, but I travel often yearly to India to do several projects and visit my family. And from that point of view, I can tell you many things about what it is to be an Indian woman who is not only living abroad, but when I come back to my home country, how does it feel to be a woman? And how do Indian people living in India look at an Indian woman living abroad, which is sometimes also a totally different experience. Being a woman today is these days both interesting and challenging, and we still need to take many steps to empower ourselves and other women. So I truly believe that we should approach this topic with positivity. So now, at first, I want to start with the questions, the 5 questions today. And to all of you who are listening, whether you're a student or even faculty, grab a notebook, note the questions down that I will pose to you, and think the coming time about what you would answer to these questions. But let me start with an example. And I know the chat is disabled, but think about it for yourself. Has anyone heard of Gunjan Saxena? So think about it in your mind. Does that, I must ring a bell for most of you because the movie has been promoted probably a lot within the country. But when I had to speak to you today, I had to think of the movie Gunjan Saxena, the Kargil girl. And every girl has her own struggles in life, her own dreams, her own path. And when we watch or hear stories of women and girls who overcame their challenges, we can learn a lot and it can inspire us. And therefore, such stories, not only in movies, but also speakers such as ourselves are here today are so important. Because I hope I can also inspire you today with what I have to tell, and that you will keep looking for these stories to inspire you as well. So what did I find interesting about Gunjan Saxena here? She did not give up on her journey. She found creative ways to reach where she wanted to go, and she had a vision, a goal that she wanted to reach. And these are all aspects that you will find back in many women who have reached great heights in their career and in their lives as well. So I hope you will remember that, especially for the future to come. But what is my own story? So throughout my life and working journey, a few things were very important. And one of those is especially asking questions to myself to figure out where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. And this has always helped me. When you reflect on what you do, it gives you a different perspective. Also learning from what others do, and then also ask questions about that. Never be afraid to ask questions. There are no dumb questions in life. So mark that as well. I did not always find it easy to choose direction in life, but I always thought of moving forward because every step ahead gives me a direction of its own. And while doing that, every step on the way, I was able to build a very interesting journey for myself, both in my career and also personally. And if you would ask me, is it easy? No, a lot of times it is not easy. I come across many challenges. And if you will ever travel abroad, you will notice that people in other countries have certain ideas about Indian women, that they are indeed not enough empowered, that they might not be capable enough. So here in this country, I have faced discrimination. But when I go back to India, some people in India say, hey, this Indian woman is living abroad. What kind of morality does she have? Will she be able to understand the Indian people? And that is something that I am facing, that I am in between two cultures, which is in its own a very interesting challenge. But as I said, with positivity, we have to keep moving forward. And I learned that when you fall, you can definitely stand up again. Therefore, I want to share with you 5 questions today that a teenage girl should ask herself to shape her future. And I will also explain you why you should ask yourself those questions. So the first question is, who are your role models? What women in your life do you look up to? To know who your role models are makes that you can not only learn from these women, but also can decide in what direction you want to go. So is your role model someone whose life is an actual example for you to live your life? And here I have to say that, mind you, a role model is different than being a fan of a certain person, or maybe if being a fan of a certain movie star. It's different from just admiring someone for what they do. For a role model, you would want to follow what they also do. Can you not only learn, but also copy certain steps that they took in their lives? So think about this question the coming days. Then my second question for you, note this one down as well. What are your talents? Did I always know what my talents were? Sometimes no, but possibly yes. But you have to discover this throughout your life, and sometimes it needs a little push to develop your talents. There were certain people in my life as well who sometimes gave me that little push to find my talent and to develop those as well. And every person has his or her own talents. And when given the right opportunity, talents can give a lot of joy and also benefit to someone's life. And this does not always mean that your talent has to be your main job, but use it as an asset. So if I look at myself, apart from my work as a medical doctor and a medical advisor that I do, I have a passion for speaking and teaching as I do today. I can do that both in my current job as now for you all. And it adds a great value to my life and it makes me happy. So pay attention to this word, happy. What in your talents makes you happy? And also take some time to discover it, develop it. And also, I am still learning every day. Then my third question to you all would be, what are the pressing issues of this world that you are passionate about? There are so many world issues, but there must be something that triggers in you, hey, this is something which I have a connection with. So knowing what topics you are passionate about and what problems you want to solve in the world give you direction in life. And that is also what I noticed when I was younger. And this definitely did not come at once, but I slowly discovered, for myself at least, that I had a passion for health and healthcare. I like seeing people become more healthy. and it creates a curiosity in me. So whatever topic you choose, ask yourself, does this make me curious? Do I really want to know more about this topic? So if if you also have a subject or topic that you like to listen to or read about, write it down and see how you can explore it more. And I can tell you, it will enrich your life, not only towards great heights, but if you are with people who are older than you, or maybe later in life, important people, if you are able to talk with these people about topics you are passionate about, they will value you. They will not only see you as a woman, but they will see you as an expert, as someone who has knowledge about a certain topic. So I really would want you all to remember that. And question number 4. If you had $1 million or euros, I just call it $1 million or euros, or a lot of money in rupees, what would you like to do with it? Often we cannot always do what we would like to do because we lack either knowledge or resources. And often resources in the form of money, that is what we lack. But knowing what you would want to do if you had sufficient money can also give you a sense of direction in your life. It can give you a dream to look forward to and to take decisions that will help you to become a happy person in life. So I, for example, what would I do with it? I would either open a healthcare facility for children, or I would see what NGOs might help with that money. And then another tip for you: always feel as if you are walking around with $1 million in your pocket. It gives you to feel with a sense of self-confidence to take certain decisions. So hold your head up high, shoulders straight, feel as if you have $1 million in your pocket. And with that, you will be able to talk to any CEO, any prime minister. In the Netherlands, I last year interviewed the princess. And at first, I also thought, well, I hope I won't make any mistakes. I mean, it's a normal thought, right? I hope I won't make any mistakes. Will the princess even answer all my questions? But then I think back again in my mind. I have $1 million in my pocket. I have my knowledge, I have my expertise, and most important, I have my self-confidence. And this self-confidence, all the girls that are listening today, is one of the most important assets you will have in your life. Then question number 5, and this actually has a lot to do with a certain mood that teenagers can go through. Are there moments that you are getting bored in life and you do not know what to do with your life? How do you handle this situation? How do you handle the situation when you do not know what to do with your life? And that's a normal feeling when you are a teenager. You have so much to explore. So often when you don't know what to do or a certain boredom creeps in people's lives, this can be very frustrating. This can also make very sad. But to know that your life makes sense is a powerful and good feeling. So look for those things in your life of which you feel, hey, this makes sense. This is something with which I'm contributing. And with this, I also want to mention to you, it's very important with what kind of people you surround yourself with. And it's not too early to do that. Because if you now surround yourself with certain people who inspire you, who are great people in your life, I mean, I'm a little older than you, but I know that I have benefited so much from having the right people around me in my life. And with this, you need willpower. I want to emphasize willpower. Willpower and planning, including what to do when you're bored, are therefore very important. Why willpower? There will be many people in your life as a girl, as a woman, who will try to convince you to do things you might not want to do, who might convince you that it is always more important to only have fun instead of choosing a certain direction. And sometimes to say no to these people, especially men, you need a lot of willpower for that. So I would like all of you to build that willpower and practice that. And with that, if you are bored, there's one other thing that I do, which is keep moving. As a medical doctor, I had to mention it today, but I walk or jog a minimum of 1 hour every day, and I have been doing that for years. On days that it rains or it's bad weather, here it's often really bad weather, I make sure I dance or I have physical exercise at home. And this can give you a great boost, not only in your energy, but also, oop, I have someone unmuting themselves in between, I hear. Well, the point that I wanted to make is keep moving, because especially for a woman, to not only be successful in life, but also to stay healthy. And when you are a CEO later in life, keep moving, keep yourself physically very healthy. And as another point to make for the people you surround yourself with, when you meet somebody totally strange, a person who you do not have a connection with, it is hard to make that connection. So try to meet people that may have similar interests, or you feel, hey, these are good people to be surrounded with, and then it's easier to make a connection. But I definitely want to mention to you that it is okay if you need to take your time to search what you want to do in life. But, and the previous speakers also mentioned that never be afraid to speak up and make a choice that makes you happy. To stay curious and have confidence in yourself that your path will unfold itself. And also to keep an eye open for opportunities and don't give up on your dreams. Why do I mention opportunities? What happens in life? Often we see an opportunity and we do not grab that. We start thinking, should we take the opportunity? Should we not take that opportunity? What I do is I don't think too long. I put down for myself, these are the benefits and these are not benefits. And I very fast take a decision. I grab the opportunity before another, well, maybe man grabs the opportunity. And that's the mindset that we should have. And there may be insecurities, but that's just a part of life. Instead, focus on the bigger picture. Always think ahead and ask yourself, where do you get your inspiration from? Stay inspired. And last but not least, to be different than others is okay. What do I mean with this? If you would want to become an astronaut and all your friends might all want to become teachers, that is okay. It is okay to focus on your studies instead of your friends only. It is okay to stay at home one night while all your other friends are out. Be your own person, and we all have our own path. And that is also what I'm learning in life. And I'm not afraid to be different. So I hope you will also not be afraid to do that and be the best version of yourself for the years to come. So I would like to keep it with that. I have no idea if I've gone over time, but if there are any questions, I would love to answer those.
Well, thank you so much, Nupur, for that. It's becoming, each and all the speakers, all of you are like, blessings. You all are blessings for all of us. I know. You see, when you were telling us about, who are your role models, your talents, what makes you feel happy, what are your passions, I understand that, I can relate with that so much. And since I am taking this opportunity to speak on behalf of all the children and the teachers and the principals here, so I think it's this journey of self-exploration. This is so much important. And since you have, like all the speakers today have achieved so much, and still you all are, exploring yourself, exploring the outside world, and also the world inside. I think this is what is the most important fact. You see, your story, what it reminds me of? It reminds me of a very beautiful quote, which I read, that it's a beautiful quote, but it's a little harsh as well. That most men die at the age of 25, but are not buried until they are 75. So it's basically because we don't. It's not just about men. It's about human beings as a whole. We need to take time to explore ourselves, to explore our values, our passion, our desires, what makes us happy, and of course, what are we supposed to do and how do we plan to move forward. And thank you so much for your story. And I'm sure we are, we have learned we are learning so much from you. And now we have the chat box open. And if any of our participants would want to ask any questions, so please go ahead. Nupur, I would request you to please have a look at the chat box.
Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. I could not unmute myself. Let me quickly see what kind of questions there are. So I see here, what is the most stressful part about working at women's empowerment? I think the most stressful part is to find people who are with you and have the right intention when it goes about women's empowerment. So what I would like to advise everyone here is instead of being sad about people who do not want to work with you on women's empowerment, find those men who believe in women empowerment, to have men allies who believe that women should become stronger in society. That is what you want to look for, but that can be very stressful because you come across many hurdles. Then how to deal with depressing thoughts on our way of self-exploration. So depressing thoughts might come. And I truly believe what helps is the way you talk to yourself. See yourself as a good friend of yourselves. So I imagine that I'm talking to Nupur. Nupur is my best friend. What would I say to her to uplift her throughout the day? How can I motivate her? How you talk to yourself throughout your journey is very important. And that's actually the best key to take away depressing thoughts. Because in the end, it was also said by another speaker, you are alone. So you need to be your own best friend in life. Then my question is the same, just sufficient to empower the girl, will that guarantee success in her life? So what is women empowerment? It's all about taking action, right? And taking action at the right moments. But this can be in small steps. And what is success? I think success is when you are satisfied with yourself as a person and you know that you have tried your best. It does not mean that I have made a lot of money. It does not mean I've become a CEO. If I know at the end of my life that I have done my best in life, then that's success. And that's also the way you should think. Have you done your best? Then that is good. How to deal with the hatred imposed on us. When I come across hatred, so I practice laughter yoga. And if you have ever heard about laughter yoga, it is really great to laugh at things that feel hurtful to you. So, and that sounds very strange, because when you let the hate of other people get to you, it will hurt. But when you can laugh at hateful things that people say to you, then that's actually empowerment. So I would also like to advise you that the next time someone says something hateful to you,
सोसाइटी से फेस करना पड़ेगा दुनिया से
try to put a smile on your face. How to follow your passion talent if society tells you that this might not be the right career for you. Yes, this is a very, very difficult thing that many girls face. What my advice here would be is to find advisors in your life so you can still get close to where you would want to reach. And in some ways also have the courage to speak up and find women allies, other girls with whom you together can maybe speak to that person and show them what path is right for you. I'm not sure if I'm talking too long. Otherwise, you have to tell me that I need to stop. There's so many questions.
I think it'll be nice that we now move on to our next speaker.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for asking these questions. And I know we'll be sharing a lot more insights very soon, even out of this session today. I hope we'll have you again. So
thank you.
Now we are moving forward to our next speaker. And I'll just say a few words, but you know what? It's first of all, I'd like to, I'm really enjoying this session, and I really appreciate everyone's participation in this. So I'll just share. Our next speaker is Ms. Gursimran Ahuja. Ms. Ahuja is currently working as a management consultant with Bain and companies, and is also working on an initiative, Successfully Yours by Simran. That's a mentorship platform, aims to help students and professionals define their professional journeys. So without taking much time, I know there's so much more that we're going to learn now. So I would just try to ask Simranji to just enlighten us.
Perfect. Please. Thank you so much, Harshit. And I am so glad to be here. I think the kind of questions that I'm seeing in the chat box, if I go back 10 years in my life and think about the kind of engagement that I brought to forums like these, guys, I was not even half as engaged as you guys were. So you are winners like right at the very outset. And it's amazing, and I'm learning so much from you. I think if I talk about my journey so far, I think anytime someone calls out like whatever I've done, like Harshit introducing me right now. Now these achievements, like they look great on paper. I look at like the journey that I've had on paper, and I think, yeah, of course it's great. And I think it sort of puts me in a stance where I'm thinking about, how far I've come. But I think the biggest wins that I've had is my own personal journey, from being someone who was extremely reticent in life to being where I am today. And I think just to talk about it, I think if I can introduce two sort of scenarios, if I go back 10 years in my life, I think that puts me in the age group at which you guys are in right now. And I go back to one event in my life where I was supposed to take part in a declamation contest. And I still very clearly remember the topic that I was supposed to talk about. It was laughter is the best medicine. I don't know, someone threw the topic at me, and I think I had to prepare for 2 days and come back and talk about it. And when I started talking, and the mic froze, and the first word and the first line that I was supposed to say was laugh and the world laughs with you. You know, the very popular. The moment I said laugh, and I realized the mic is not working. So by that time, the first 4 rows of people had heard laugh, and then there was a huge laughter at that point in time. And I tried again, and I was, okay, the mic didn't still work. And then the first few rows, like by that time, were in splits. Like everybody was literally laughing. And of course, I froze, and at the end of it, I could not complete that declamation and had to walk off stage. So that's one event in my life. And cut to today, when I am literally part of CEO presentations every single day, and I'm supposed to present to them. I think those two scenes, or those two anecdotes in my life are the two sort of ends of the personal journey that I've had, and I'm extremely proud of it. And that is what is going to be the topic of my talk. What took me from A to B? And there are 3 big things that I want to talk about. And I know that we are at the V end of the talk, but I'm going to keep it very narrative focused. And I'm going to tell you like 3 big stories in my life that really influenced this journey and that really helped me track this journey from A to B. So the first one is, and this learning and the first story that I want to leave you with is, know your crew. So no matter where you are in the world, at what stage of your career, at in whatever personal and professional setting you're in, there will always be people who will stick out for you. And for me, I think that personal crew in my case was my maternal grandfather, who was rendered blind at a very young age, but he still developed like a very massive business of his own. And I used to spend my Saturdays with him every single week. My mom used to leave me with him, and I used to talk to him about, my school. And he was the only person who was interested in talking about, what I was doing professionally. And consider this: I was the youngest in a family of 13 people, and coming from a very extremely conservative Punjabi household. And I think just to have that kind of presence in my life, someone who was interested in, what I was doing at school, what I was doing to learn, was a great, inspiration for me at that point in time, because there was someone who was really interested in knowing what I as an individual was doing, and not just what I was doing, in the context of my larger family. So and I think he was the first crew that I've had. And of course, over the years, I've had multiple friends, multiple teachers who have reached out to me, and who I'm still in touch with, by the way. Like my middle school teachers, I'm still in touch with, and I think they still inspire me every single day. But I think he was the first crew that I had, the first person who really was my cheerleader back then. So I think at this point in your life, no matter where you are, I'm sure you have people. I'm sure they are your parents, your teachers. I'm sure they're on this call as well. Some of your friends, anyone who you met. Think about those people. Think about your crew who's going to be there with you, and they are going to be the people who are going to be there with you unconditionally. Like in your darkest times, in your lowest of days, in your happiest of days, they're going to be the happiest people with you, and they're going to support you every single day. So I think it's very, very important that we focus on those people in our life and maintain that crew, because they are going to be there. And I think my grandfather got Alzheimer's at a later point in life. He couldn't recognize me, and then of course, like, he passed away very soon after. But I think even today, he's a part of my crew. His story, his inspiration, all the conversations we had, and he was literally the person who convinced my parents to send me to IIT Roorkee and then IIM Ahmedabad as well later. And I think that is one element of my journey that I really, really hold close to my heart, and I still draw inspiration from whoever is a part of my crew then. So I think that is the first thing, like, hold those people who are going to support you very, very close to yourself, because they will ensure that you do not lose track of who you are. They will make sure that you remain your person every single day. The second thing that I want to talk about is, and I think coming from the background that I did not have a lot of extracurricular experience. Like, I just used to go to school, study, and do like literally nothing else in life. So when I landed up in IIT Roorkee, I met so many people who had done so wonderfully well in life, and I think I'm sure you have too. But I was in multiple rooms where I felt that, I had not done much in life. So there's a person who has done a startup at the age of 15. There's a person who has developed his own personal robot. So I used to meet all of these people, and at the end, and there are multiple rooms when I felt that, am I really good enough to be here? Like, should I even be here? I have not done anything else in life. So I think that moves me to my second question, like, remain anchored to your roots, but do explore yourself as well. And that means, so when you're in an ecosystem like this, so when I went to Roorkee, I think there were multiple opportunities for me to, like, explore and enhance myself. And I took those opportunities. I just sat in a debate session. I just went and met the next professor. I met the people who used to come in for sessions. Trust me, I was the person in the corner of the room who did not talk at the very beginning. And it took me multiple years to, like, muster up the courage and, start talking in these rooms. But I just tried things. I just bought a ticket and went abroad, and, because one of these conferences were held in Europe. And I think that was the first time I went abroad on my own. And I think one of these days I just left the hotel and tried to explore the world. So I think just every single day, look out for experiences that you have not been a part of before. Look out for people who you have not talked to before. It could be your friends, it could be your juniors, it could be someone who you met, but just talking to someone else who's had a very different journey, who's had a very different perspective in life, will give you a worldview that you've never had before. And I think that was extremely, extremely important, because trying out things, like, trust me, you will fail 80% of at 80% of the things that you try out. But the experience that it will leave you with, it will leave you fearless in life. Like, once you've had, your first 3 failures, you'll be like, okay, fine. Like, every single experience was the worst that could happen. I could fail, but I could at the same time learn as well, right? So I think it just leaves you with this immense fearlessness that, I'm going to try out these 100 things. I'm going to succeed at, like, 5 of them, but I'm going to be left with like 95 learning experiences and 5 great things that are part of my journey now. So just try out new things, try out extracurriculars that are on offer for you, try out, meet new people, go to new places. And each of these experiences that you try is going to enrich you so much, you have no idea. The third thing that I want to talk about is make life easier for the next person who's going to follow you. And a small anecdote to that end as well. There was a person, I used to do evening classes in IIT Roorkee. So there was this evening classes and there's a school attached to IIT Roorkee for people with less privileged backgrounds. And I used to be an evening school teacher at that point. I used to teach them for an hour every day after my classes ended. And at the end of the classes, I always made it a point to sit with them for 10 minutes, just talking about life, what was going on with them, you know, what was their, you know, life situation like, how were their parents thinking about them coming in, etc. And there was this one person who was extremely like, and trust me, like he was coming from even from a less privileged background. He was one of those people who was doing really well in school, like the best in science, the best in math. And I asked him, you know, what do you want to do when you grow up? And he told me that I want to be a sales store salesman. I think that's what he mentioned. Right? I think something to that end. And I thought to myself that, you know, like this person who's extremely great, his parents are supporting him, they want him to be successful in life, but doesn't have context of what he can do later on. Like, what is the world of opportunity that is available for him? And then I told him that, okay, there's this opportunity with KVPY schools, and I'm sure you know about it. And I put him in touch with one of those people. And today he's a KVPY student and he's pursuing medicine. So all it took was just this 1 2-minute snippet of information that I gave to him. You have no idea that your journey, like even a 2-minute chat with someone can change someone's worldview altogether. And I think we need to acknowledge the fact that, you know, we have been put in a position like this where we are equipped to help people out there, even with a small chat, even with a word of support, even with some information, some encouragement. But we have so much at our disposal to make a difference in someone else's life. So the way I think about it, and that is the genesis of Successfully Yours as well. I think there are many people like when I came in and joined the professional world, let's say when I joined IIT Roorkee, I was a clueless teenager. Like, trust me, I did not know anything that the world had to offer. It was just this whole ocean that I was thrown into to explore, which is why I want to go back and I want to be part of the crew for those people out there who maybe like not as clueless as me, but maybe have some questions about life that they want answered. And I just want to talk to them, and I just want to be a part of that group of people that will, you know, change lives a few years from there on. And trust me, and that is the genesis of Successfully Yours. I always spend some time like on the weekends. Weekdays are like really busy, but I do make it a point to take like 3-4 hours out of my life on each of the week just to talk to people. Like I just pick up, like I get so many messages on LinkedIn day in and day out. I just pick up like 5 of those messages and I go, okay, let's chat, let's talk. You just call me on this. And I have had the most amazing conversations with the most amazing people, and of course, so many of them are doing so many great things in life right now. But I think it just helps to have that kind of guidance, because for me, that guidance came in from people who were like a couple of years ahead of me and had gone through that journey. And I just want to make sure that I, you know, pay it back as well. So just make sure that, you know, anytime, like you might be at 20 years of age right now, but there might be a 15-year-old out there who might need your help navigating how to be 15. Right? So just make life easier for the next person who's going to be in your shoes. Just think about that. And I think the world will be a very, very different place if we just like pass on the learning that we have to people who, you know, might be in your shoes or might be going through the same things that you are. And the last thing that I want to say is never, ever be ashamed of anything in your life. Like, trust me, this is your journey. Like, no one will get to do the same things that you have. No one will have the same background that you have. Do not try to be someone else's version of yourself. Be your own version of yourself, because I think you are unique enough in life. Like, God has put you on this earth and made you unique, and that's a win in itself. And there's a very popular quote from Dr. Rogers, and I think I always go back to it and I read it every time I have these existential questions on, you know, what am I doing with my life? I go back and read it and it just makes my day so much better. He says, do you like to draw with crayons? I like to draw with crayons, you know, I'm not very good at it. I'm really horrible at it, but it doesn't matter because I I had fun when I'm doing it. It's the fun that's important. No matter what anybody says, it feels good to do it. I'm happy doing it. The best thing that each person would do is be different in life. And in a way, you've already won in this world because you are your own version of yourself. There is not going to be any other you in life, and just be very, very proud of it. Just be very proud of, how far you've come. Even if it's a delta leap or it's a big journey, it's yours to keep. And there's nobody else who will have the same journey as you, because that's the way it's supposed to be. And that is what makes you a winner in every sense of the word. So just stay true to yourself, and I'm sure great things will happen to you because you're already made for greatness by being you and being placed on this earth. So thank you so much, guys. And it was great being here. Thank you, Harshit, as well, for the very kind words and for giving me the opportunity to talk to some amazing people out here.
Wow. I mean, literally, wow. And thank you so much for sharing that. You see, when I, listening to you, it's just taking me on a wonderful and a beautiful roller coaster ride. Even this is not just for the girls or the ladies who are out here. I'm sure like when we'll be uploading this on our certain platforms, so many men are going to resonate with all of you. I resonate with you, like all of you, like anything right now. And you see, you all, like all three of you, all four of you, and the kind of steps that you are taking and you have taken, and like you are the leaders. So how I see leadership as, and how I have understood leadership. You see, and all of us should actually understand this. Leadership is not actually a title given through a position, as said by Nupur ji and Gursimran and all our speakers. So it's actually, when you start taking action, you'll find your crew, you'll find your people, you'll find your action, you'll find your passion. So the first thing is to just take the next step. And I feel so much from that. I hope, I just cannot, hold my emotions, after listening to all of you. And I feel so much empowered just by listening to you. So yes, we will have a lot more. And so next, I'll just open up the chat box and I'll ask the children and the principals and the teachers if they have any questions. So we'll have a slot of 2 to 3 minutes now. And if you have any questions, I would like Gursimran to answer. So chat box is open now, please. Do we have any questions? Yeah, questions are coming. Simran, please, if you can have a look.
All right, sounds good, Harshit. How do we move forward when everyone is telling us that our idea won't work? Do it. Just do it anyway. Right? If people don't tell you that your idea won't work, reach out to people who've done the same thing before, who've done similar things before. And trust me, you need to find the people that will stand out for you. Like if your idea won't work, talk to someone who's implemented something similar, learn from them and implement it anyway. And I think it just will help you. Even if it doesn't work, you will have a mammoth amount of experience to take back and implement in your next idea, right? So just do it. Try and get help from the right amount of people, right set of people who are out there, and that will really help you move things along. All right. Oh my God, there are so many of them. I'll just. Yeah. How to make positive changes and decisions. Trust me, take it one day at a time, I would say. Don't see life in all its entirety and have this mammoth idea of positivity that you want to influence in yourself. Try and start with the little things first. I'm going to walk into this room. I have a meeting. I'm going to be the most energetic person and I'm going to give it this all. I have a class next. I'm going to give it my all in terms of understanding. I have an exam tomorrow. I'm going to just focus on this. So break your life into bite-sized chunks and try and make sure that those bite-sized chunks work out for you. And when you bring positivity to these little elements in your life, when you bring positivity to, your relationships, your experiences, your professional life, your personal life, the larger picture automatically solves for itself. So just try and make sure that every single day, every single hour of your life, you're making those positive changes. How to maintain our enthusiasm and our passion and introduce our thoughts and way into the society. I think when it comes to introducing enthusiasm and passion, try and make sure that, you are talking to as many people as you want, and you're sort of thinking of your ideas and what to say. Speaking up is just 50% work done. When you build this community and you build this group of people around you and you talk about your ideas and talk about what you're thinking, I think that's already putting our enthusiasm out there in the world. That's just the start of it. And trust me, when we do that, that sort of starts a domino of reactions, and that makes the movement so much bigger. But just speaking up and just starting it is literally more than half of the work done. All right, I'll just see if there are more. Different people have different perceptions about a woman. What is the best way to define a woman? The best way to define a woman is me. Like, it's going to be my personal journey, my journey in this world, my journey as a student, as a teacher, as as someone who is, as a speaker, as later on in your life, a certain professional. But it's just you. It's your journey, right? You're not just any woman. You're just your version of yourself, and I think that's pretty great. Right, let me see if there are any more that I can pick up. Can we be carefree and successful at the same time, or do we need to be focused always? Hey, trust me, like being carefree and successful at the same time is the best thing that you can do. When you bring this element of happiness and you bring this element of energy and carefreeness in your life, things become all the more simpler. Like, I try every single day. If I'm in a meeting, I just try and lighten things up a little bit. Like, guys, it's fine. We know we're doing really big things in life. We're trying to improve profits of this organization by X%. But let's just take a step back. Let's just smile a little bit. Let's just do it energetically. Like, being carefree, being smiling, and being happy and doing your things is the best way to do it. Trust me, because that will make it sustainable. Then you can do it for 50 more years. Otherwise, you will tire out very, very soon. All right, Harshit, you give me the. When I'm supposed to.
Thank you so much. You see, I'm sure there are so many questions, and all the children and teachers are loving it. But since time is a constraint for all of you, and I would just, for all of us, of course, I would just like to thank you, all the speakers who have given their time, for this wonderful session. So we can now see that how, from the kind of questions that all of you answered of children, I know all these wonderful upcoming leaders, I would say, and the kind of questions were being asked, I could make it out that how wonderful people and how wonderful leaders are coming up. So I would just like to thank all of you for being here and all of your time, like all the teachers and the principals, and most importantly, the students, the girls who want to be more, who want to have more, and do more. So that's such a wonderful thing, and thank you so much for being here. We're now closing this session, but yes, we are going to have a few more of these sessions, and I would like to request all the speakers to give their time any time in future, so that all of our these wonderful ladies and the girls would get to learn so much more from you. And I would like to most importantly thank the lady behind this entire event. That's Miss Sophia, who brought all of us together. And you see, that's how things goes, right? That's how the women are empowering the men as well. You see, I was hosting the event, so I think, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and listening to me and being a part of this wonderful event. So with this, we come to the end. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Sure.
See you.